Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve Roy, the host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show and thanks for listening. So before I get into today's show, I just want to share something that I'm really excited about. It is a program that I've developed. It's called the Fit Dad Nation Inner Circle, and it's really helping dads become fit and healthy, kind of taking their fitness to the next level. And it's a private membership program. I just launched it a couple of months ago, and it's really doing some great things for a lot of dads. And I'm just really proud of this, and it's a community for dads that are looking to reclaim their health and their fitness and get their energy back, get their confidence back. And, you know, as you know, this industry, the health industry, fitness industry, is littered with fake coaches, idiots, scammers, self-proclaimed experts, and people looking to make a quick buck by selling you bullshit. And I absolutely detest that about this industry, but it is what it is. So this program cuts through all of that. It's very interactive. We've got monthly and even weekly challenges, live Q&As, workout programs, video tutorials. There's transformation challenges. And there's so much content and so many resources available to you as a dad. And one of the best parts of it is you're working alongside a tribe of like-minded dads who are holding you accountable to what you say you want. So you can find out more about this program at fdnic.com. So today I'm taking on a very, very big subject, and I certainly can't even come close to scratching the surface, but I want to talk to you a little bit about dieting and, in my opinion, what you should be doing instead of dieting. So when you hear the word diet, right? I'm going on a diet. The first thing that you associate with that is this is a temporary fix, right? John is going on a diet, or Bob is trying to lose 10 pounds for summer, right? So we tend to assume that the diet is something temporary. And the first thing you have to understand is when you're trying to lose weight, the last thing that should be on your mind is a temporary fix. And so, you can't just go into a Barnes & Noble, right? You're not going to solve your weight loss struggles by going and buying the best-selling book that's on the shelf at any given time and following it for a couple of weeks or a couple of months and expect everything to be better. It doesn't work like that. So, what I want to share with you a little bit is how to look at this instead, because it's a very frustrating topic for me. I can't stand even going into the stores and seeing dozens of, we'll call them in quotes, best-selling books pitching you on the latest fad, whatever, there's so many different types of diets out there. And I really do think there's a better approach. So first, we as consumers, we're falling victim to really phenomenal marketing. We're falling victim to fake testimonials. We're looking at celebrities and athletes promoting diets and programs, thinking that they actually use them to get those results, right? And we probably can understand also that a lot of those are just paid endorsements, right? Because a company knows that if they pay Shaq to promote their product or their diet, it will sell. And this is something that I read, and it's so true, is that some of the worst fitness advice that we get comes from those with the best bodies or the most social proof. And so this is, an uphill battle for guys and people in this business that are trying to do it the right way and not try to make money off of people's insecurities. And so that's why, one of the reasons why I wanted to just talk about this today. So, let's look at diets like, for example, a Weight Watchers or a Jenny Craig, right? They have these celebrities on there promoting their stuff, and it's for brand credibility. It's not because this is a viable long-term solution for a lot of people, because the facts are that over 90%, and I think it's even higher than that, of people that go on traditional diets gain all the weight back. It's just a stat. And so we know that in that sense, will say that diets don't work in the long term. And we can also say that they do work because a diet has one goal, right? It's to help you lose weight. And from that perspective only, we can say, yes, diets absolutely work because, look at it, any countless number of before and after testimonials, right? Some of them are real, some of them are fake, but still, people are losing weight. And the reason why is you're taking, let's call it a 250-pound guy that's been eating 3,500 calories or more a day, eating breads and pastas and carbs and heavy foods and packaged foods, fast foods, fried foods, soda. And he buys into, let's call it Weight Watchers, and they give him 30 points per day to eat. What they don't tell him is that those 30 points constitute 1,500 calories. So he's cutting his calories in half or more. And yes, guess what happens? Yes, he loses weight. That's just science, right? You restrict those calories enough, you will lose weight. And so from that standpoint, diets work. But I don't know anybody that wants to lose a bunch of weight and not be able to sustain it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. I have some specific thoughts on that. And so, it's really important that you understand that you're not going to be able to find a quick fix, a diet book, the keto, any of those things they're not quick fixes. They can work in the short term, yes, but so can anything. You could eat Snickers bars, every day, all day, as long as it's under your calorie requirement, you'll lose weight. But that's not what you're trying to do. You don't want to just drop a bunch of weight. You want to lose body fat. That's the big difference, and that's what they'll never tell you in the diet industry is because these people that are losing all this weight and having these great transformations are stripping out a massive amount of muscle tissue and water in addition to the fat, which is ultimately slowing down their metabolism because most of those people will start regaining weight, and they're not regaining it most of the time and not regaining muscle. So that's a really important concept to understand is who fucking cares if you lose 50 pounds if 20 pounds of it is muscle? It's killing your metabolism. And so John loses 50 pounds, 20 of it muscle, can't sustain 1,500 calories anymore because he's miserable and he's just not getting enough energy. I mean, he's just not working for him. It's too few. But the scale says that it's working, right? So he sticks with it for a few months, but there will come a time where he can't sustain it. He's just too hungry. And once he starts reintroducing more calories, he's going to start seeing that weight gain come back. And unless he's doing everything right, which most people aren't, they're just looking for quick fixes and the path of least resistance, he's going to gain that weight back in the form of mostly body fat, not all of it. So maybe he does this 3 or 4 times over the course of 5 years. And when he started at 32% body fat at 250 pounds, now he's back at 250 pounds, but he's got 41% body fat because of this yo-yo effect. And it's scary, actually, and people don't realize that that's exactly what happens with the yo-yo diet. You strip out muscle, you gain back fat. You strip out muscle, you gain back fat. You do that enough, and people have done this dozens of times, and then they figure out, why the hell can't I lose any weight? Because you've basically shut down your metabolism over a course of time from doing this kind of bullshit. But again, this is what happens. This is what sells, right? And it's insane. So let's look at a diet. Okay, we'll look just any diet alone, and we can say that it works, like a keto diet. I don't even want to name some of these horrible things out there, but it works mainly for one reason. It's not because it's a cure-all or it's got some amazing healing properties or whatever. Most of that's bullshit. What it's doing, and what 98% of these diets are doing, in essence, is restricting your calories, and they're just not telling you that's what they're doing. Because ultimately, that's all you're doing. You're restricting calories. You take a keto diet, you take the average person who has been eating a typical American diet for years and years and years, 50% or more are carbohydrates, a lot of it processed. And then you tell them one day, you're going keto, you can have virtually no carbohydrates. And so you lose a ton of calories, right? And you think, wow, the keto is amazing. Look, I feel so good. I'm losing so much weight and I'm eating all this protein and healthy fat. But you're not putting two and two together and realizing you've just cut your calories in half. And this is the reason why you're losing weight. This doesn't mean that the keto is bad, right? It's not. It actually can be a very powerful tool if used properly. But the problem is it's extremely difficult to sustain, like most low-calorie diets are. You can go on any number of diets. It's going to strip out your calories. It's going to reduce them drastically. You're going to be miserable. It's a constant battle to maintain it, and that is a recipe for failure. And so ultimately you just quit. And then you get sick of how you look or how you feel or your weight or whatever, your pants not fitting, and then you go back to the bookstore, you buy another diet book, you try something else. Well, the keto didn't work, so I'm going to try the Mediterranean diet or the zone diet, or I'm going to try the paleo diet. And you go through 5 or 6 of these this way because you're not sticking to them long enough to see results because they're difficult to stick to. And so, I would say stay clear of anything that is going to eliminate a ton of food. It's going to eliminate entire macronutrients. And like I said, there are certain uses for a ketogenic diet, but I think for the vast majority of people, even though it's extremely popular and people are making millions of dollars selling this type of diet and recipes and everything else, you see it everywhere, it's very difficult to sustain because we're not used to eating no carbohydrates. And it's, there's a number of side effects that you will feel, like the carb flu. You'll feel probably like shit for a long while. You'll have headaches. And ultimately, you'll end up eating carbs again, and you'll say, oh, fuck it, I just blew my diet, and you go back to eating normal foods, and then keto didn't work is what you're going to say. So there's a better way to do this. So keep a couple of things in mind. One is you do not have to suffer and sacrifice as much as you think you need to in order to lose weight. We associate a diet with suffering, right? Oh, I got to go on this diet again, but really want to lose those 20 pounds because I'm going to Key Largo. So, I'm just going to suck it up, man. I'm going to, and you're automatically assuming this is going to suck. And when that happens, right, we as people, we don't want things to suck in our life. We do everything to avoid that. So it's a miserable experience for us. Oh, fuck, I got to eat all these vegetables. Oh, man. And I've got to eat 6 times a day. What? Or I've got to eat all this fat. Doesn't fat make you fat? All right, so all these conversations are going on in your head, and it's a miserable experience. And so I'm here to tell you that absolutely, positively, you do not need to suffer through any diet or exercise program or anything really in the name of health and fitness. It's counterintuitive. It doesn't make any sense if you really think about it. So is there sacrifice? Yeah, of course, right? If you didn't sacrifice anything, you'd never change, right? You'd still be eating the same shitty food, stopping at Wendy's 3 times a week, drinking big gulps, right? If you didn't change those things, right, you'd stay the same. But you have to sacrifice something. But that doesn't mean going to bed starving, absolutely famished, and just craving food 24/7, right? Which is what a lot of people do. Oh, I can't wait till 8 o'clock, or I can't wait till 6 o'clock when I can have that next meal because I'm just so hungry. Or people that starve themselves on 2 shakes a day and think that's the way to lose weight correctly. And they're miserable. Like, they're drinking their calories. They're not eating hardly any real food, and they're hungry. They have cravings. They just don't feel great. I see it time and time again. And again, it works on the scale because the scale will move if you turn your diet into a liquid diet, right? You're drinking calories and you have a couple of shakes a day. Yeah, of course, your calories are coming way down and you're going to lose weight, but it's not the right way to lose weight. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm telling you, let's think about this, right? I want you to think about how you're going about this. And this is a conversation I have with a lot of people is, okay, great. I'm glad you're doing isogenics. Tell me about the rest of your diet. Well, I just have, 1 shake in the morning and then 1 shake in the afternoon. And I'll have a little salad. I'm like, well, just look, how many calories is that? Let's add it up. Oh, yeah, about 1,000, maybe a little bit less. I said, well, you weigh 150 pounds and you're eating 1,000 calories. Does this make sense to you? Let's think about that. And then I show them the numbers, and it makes no sense. They're way under eating, and ultimately they're just going to end up, like I mentioned before, stripping out much needed lean body mass. You have to have that lean muscle. It's absolutely important. So forget about the sacrificing. Yes, I sacrifice a little bit. I prefer like a primal-based diet, whole foods, a lot of fruits, vegetables, eggs, lean meats, nuts and oils and seeds, stuff like that. Works well for me. I like it. And I'm not sacrificing. Is it sometimes a sacrifice if I go to Dunkin' Donuts with my kids and they get donuts? Yeah, but that's part of making better decisions, right? It's not suffering in the name of suffering. I'm not going to eat that because it's terrible for me. So please understand that. Then understand this. If you're not in this for the long term, you definitely probably should just stop listening to the show. This is not the show for you, because we're in this for the long term, right? We're dads that are committed to living healthier, living longer, better quality lives. We're not here just to lose 10 pounds for the beach. That's not what this is about. And if that's your goal, fine. I'm not going to judge you, but there's a million shows out there. There's a million resources for you that will sell you something. So you're free to leave the show. But this is about the long term, and you have to think long term. And that means making better lifestyle choices. Okay. Let's look at the diet piece, right? No, I don't even particularly like the term diet itself. I prefer, an approach to eating, nutrition, whatever you want to call it. But as soon as you say diet, you think, oh, I got to do that diet, right? You don't have to do anything. You get to eat better foods. So when we look at any approach to eating, and I will tell you straight up, any of these popular quote unquote diets can work, and when I say they can work, they can be a viable option for you, assuming three things. One is they're healthy. They have to be healthy. They have to have enough nutrients. They have to give you enough calories. They have to provide enough protein. They have to be healthy. They have to get you results. They have to be working for you. And you have to be able to sustain it. You have to be able to stick with it, right? You can force a keto diet to work, all right, by sheer willpower. But at some point that will fail. But if you're super strong with your willpower, what if you went a whole year? You probably would see great results, right? But that's not a lifestyle change. You're sacrificing something. You're doing something in the short term, because this is a long-term game, and it's just not a great option for you. If you are fine with not eating hardly any carbohydrates and your body responds well to that, you feel good. It does happen. I know people that love and thrive in a keto diet. And I use keto a lot because it's an extreme diet, and it gets a lot of press, and it's very misunderstood. But if it works well for you, getting results, it can be a very powerful tool. You can stick with it. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to beat up the keto diet because it's the keto diet. But so first off, let's look at what we have to have in any approach to eating, whether it's primal paleo, whatever. You have to have, if your goal is fat loss, or again, I don't want to say weight loss. Your goal is always fat loss, never weight loss. We don't want to lose weight, which could be anything from water weight to muscle weight. We want to lose body fat only, all right? So when that is our goal, we have to look at being in a calorie deficit, and we have to be there consistently. You can't eat, you can't restrict your calories for a week or two and then go back to eating however you want and expect things to happen. This has to be a very consistent, months and months of consistent eating in a deficit. And there are certain strategies that you can use with cycling and all that stuff, but just to keep it simple, stay in a calorie deficit, in a moderate one, not in a very severe one. So, this is what I tell my clients. Number one, let's start tracking your calories, because most people have no idea, and they underestimate how much food they're having. Oh, I don't eat that much actually. But when you count every single calorie that goes into their body, you're like, holy shit, I was eating way more than I thought. Like, there you go. That's why you're not losing weight, because you're overeating, even though you're not stuffing yourself. So I tell everybody, let's start with counting your calories with like MyFitnessPal or whatever for 2 weeks. It isn't fun. It kind of sucks. It's tedious, but it will give you a very good base understanding of what is going into your body. And then, once you really understand your foods and about how much you're eating in portion sizes, you can back off of it, but it's a really important exercise to at least track your calories for a couple of weeks. And so it doesn't make any sense to count your calories unless you know how many calories you need, right? So tracking for the sake of tracking makes no sense. So you have to figure out, let's see how many calories I actually need to lose weight. So I use something called the Harris-Benedict formula. There's a bunch of calculators online. It starts with a BMR. You figure out your maintenance calorie requirements based on your age, your height, your weight, and your activity level, and it gets you a little formula, and then you reduce that for fat loss. Typically, a 15 to 20% deficit is plenty to start with. You don't have to go to extremes. I don't like static numbers like, let's just reduce it by 500 calories. A percentage-based deficit is more accurate and probably work better for you. So once we get that number, and again, that's the Harris-Benedict formula, just Google it. You'll find a couple of calculators and get your deficit number. So once that's your goal, then you can start tracking. Okay, so a couple things with that. So, this show is mostly about dieting, but what I told you in the beginning was, this is what I want you to do instead of dieting. So we're not going to use the word diet anymore. We're going to focus on just a new approach to eating. We're going to find something that works for us, something that includes foods that we actually enjoy. If you hate vegetables, paleo diet is going to be a nightmare for you. So find something that you enjoy, and again, has to be healthy and has to get you results. So we're looking at the diet piece of it, but instead of going on a crash diet or a fad diet thinking that's the solution, which it definitely is not, you have to look at this as kind of a holistic approach. And there's a multiple pieces to this, but it's very simple. It's very basic. And the key behind all of it is to stick with it until it becomes mind-numbingly consistent and boring. That's the thing. So everything I'm telling you is boring. There's very little sales appeal, sex appeal to this conversation, which is why we don't hear about it that much, because you can't make money. I don't have anything to sell you, right? If I sold you the green pepper diet or the mushroom diet or something like that promised you insane results by only eating portobello mushrooms, it would sell. I guarantee it, 1,000% I would make money selling that. And guess what? You definitely would lose weight because there's hardly any calories in mushrooms, right? And I wouldn't tell you that I'm basically stripping out all of your calories and all your protein and everything else. And I would have all these awesome testimonials showing all these people that started out at 200 pounds and are now 140 pounds because they ate nothing but mushrooms for 6 months, right? Those things make money. And that's what this industry is all about. I mean, obviously business is designed to make money, but this industry is notorious for selling garbage and over-promising things and just giving you garbage in return. So what I'm going to tell you is these are the things that you need to focus on if your goal, and if you're still listening to this show, if your goal is to lose body fat on a permanent basis and be healthy and have an approach to eating that is sustainable, and you can forget about all the other bullshit out there, everything else, just follow these few basic rules, and I promise that you will probably start seeing results pretty quickly, and it's, in my opinion, the right way to go about it instead of looking for a quick fix. So find an approach to eating. Number one, find an approach to eating that works for you, healthy, gets results, and you can maintain it. Stick with it. Make sure you're in a deficit, 15, 20%, somewhere in there, consistently, very consistently. Start training with weights to add lean muscle tissue. Start using some kind of conditioning, interval training, something like that, to start helping with your metabolism and burning more calories. Use those together. 3-4 days a week is fine for most guys. Take a look at your sleep. We're not sleeping nearly enough. 7 to 8 hours a night. Okay, this affects so much. Hormones, appetite. It can totally fuck you if you're not sleeping good, like a good quality sleep, or you're not sleeping enough. And a lot of us aren't. We're stressed out, we're freaking out, and we're up late watching Netflix, and we're up super early trying to get things done before we have to go to work, right? It's not going to help you when it comes to your goals. So sleep is extremely, extremely important. Drink a ton of water, right? Replace most of your beverages with water. Coffee is fine. All that sweetened crap, dump it. And then I want you to focus on your stress levels. You know, busy dads like us, right? We're in our 30s, 40s, and beyond. We got a shitload of stress, work, family, ton of bills, right? We're trying to figure out how we can retire. We've got, you know, kids in sports. We're driving all over the place. The boss is on our ass. I mean, there's so much stress, you know. And for those of you that are divorced, and I know there's quite a few of you, you're dealing with, you know, your ex-wife and maybe legal battles, and that's extremely stressful. A lot of us are buried in debt, very stressful. You have to get that shit under control. You have to find an outlet for it, because stress seriously can kill you. And unfortunately, it can affect your ability to lose weight, your ability to lose fat, your ability to gain muscle. It can really screw with you. So it's so important to find an outlet for that. Okay. And then lastly, you have to understand that you can't solve your problem with the same level of thinking that got you there. And that's a quote from Tom Venuto. He wrote Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle, Body Fat Solution. I had him on the show a while back, and probably one of the foremost experts in the nutrition field. Really, really knowledgeable guy. I love his work. And that's something that I read of his, which think about it, right? Your goal is to lose weight. That's right. You want to get fit. But you're thinking the same way as you did before, right? You can't just buy a diet book, lose some weight, and then go back to your normal lifestyle and not change anything about the way you think about these things, right? You have to change your habits. You have to change your mindsets so you can change those things going forward. Most people fall right back into their old habits, into their own mindset, their own negative thinking. They spiral right back out of control, and they end up right back where they started. So you have to. That's something that, you know, is extremely important. And so lastly, I will say that, you know, if you aren't happy with what you see in the mirror every day, what does it really matter what the scale says? So a lot of people are so caught up in, well, man, I just want to be under 200 pounds. You know, so many guys say, man, I want to be in 32 jeans, or I want to be under 200. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're miserable with the person that you see in the mirror, who fucking cares what the scale says, right? You're not going to be any happier with yourself at 199 than 201. You're not. So you need to fix that shit too. You got to figure out what it is that makes you happy. And that's another conversation. Actually, I did have a show about that as well, about following your passions, because a lot of people are just like the walking dead and you're just miserable for whatever reason. So you have to be happy with yourself. And so one other thing that I did want to note is, and this is something that a lot of people don't even think about. And I'll tell you, one of the main reasons why Weight Watchers is so successful, for example, and I'll use that as my example, is they have meetups, whatever, I don't even know what they're called, technically meetings maybe, but people show up to these groups and your ass is on the line. You're showing up in person. You know, if you haven't lost any weight, you've got to get on that scale in front of your peers and show that you've been slacking. And people don't want to do that. So people will work harder when they know they're accountable to someone other than themselves. And some of the most powerful tools that you will have when it comes to getting fit and losing weight and being healthier, these are like emotional and social based tools. So I've seen it in the Fit Dad Nation. I've been running this for 5 years. Almost everything we do has been in groups, and now virtually everything I do is within groups. And it's because the social aspect keeps men engaged and accountable. And so, you know, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have a program. It's a private membership program called the Fit Dad Nation Inner Circle. It's an accountability-based program. The men in there are holding each other to what they say they want, right? They're on each other about their goals, right? Hey, man, let's get this workout. and people have to show up. We're looking at tracking metrics. How is this going for you? And you've got to post, right? You're gonna show up and say, you know what, I blew it, but I'm gonna get back on it. Having that tribe that gives a shit about you is huge when it comes to this. So many people think they're alone. Like I said, I've used this a few times already, but let's say you're feeling like a piece of fat shit. You say, I've had enough. You go out to the bookstore. You find something that looks interesting. It says bestseller, over 100 million copies sold, blah, blah, blah. Right? You buy it. You go home. You read it. I'm going to do this starting tomorrow. But guess what? No one else is doing it with you, right? Maybe your wife still is unsupportive, right? Kids don't give a shit if you're doing that. Your coworkers certainly don't care. Your boss doesn't care. You're on your own. And how long is that going to last when you're up against something new? You're trying to revamp your lifestyle, your whole approach to eating. You're trying to go to the gym for the first time in 10 years. And you feel like you're alone. That is extremely daunting. And it's caused millions of people to fail and quit. I'll say quit first and then fail. Right? Because they don't have that support network. And so one thing that I've seen in the few months that the Inner Circle has been open is it's incredible. First of all, it's an incredibly active group. And secondly, it's such a great support network for that, right? No one thinks they're alone. And that's just one aspect of that. But please keep that in mind. Whatever path you take with your eating, with whatever program you're doing, whatever your fitness goals are, just keep in mind that having that social aspect, that accountability plays a massive role. So hopefully this shed light on a few things. I hope you learned a couple things. I appreciate you listening, and we'll talk with you next time.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.